Everybody, Dr. Jeff here, and I am proud tonight to be here and be able to speak to you. I'm proud to be asked by Team Heart to present a lecture on the deep dive into Nrf1 and NAD. Someone else is going to take Nrf2, another one of the physicians in Team Heart. And as well, it should be a separate topic. It is what started the LifeVantage movement and well deserves its own lecture. As always, I like to start out with a quote, and today's quote comes from Albert Einstein, and it's intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. Now, I take this quote to heart. I still get up every morning and read and try to learn as much as I can. I tell my students in some of my medical workshops that you should either be in a class or teaching a class. I think it's important, even on a monthly basis, to attend some type of a lecture where you're going to learn something new. I think that's very important, even in our business, our LifeVantage businesses. This is me. You all know me as Dr. Jeff. I am here in Ocala, Florida. I am currently an MC1 in LifeVantage. I joined LifeVantage back in July of 2024. I'm a board certified orthopedic surgeon, but I have been doing regenerative medicine and wellness for about the last 16 years. Right now, my big topic is trying to fix our broken healthcare system. And if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram at the Dr. Jeff Effect, you'll hear stories about why our healthcare system is broken. I am no stranger to network marketing. I've been a six-figure earner in two different companies. I started back in 2008. I quit about 10 years ago. I said I'd never go back to network marketing again because I thought it was too much work. But now I'm back and I'm back with a vengeance. I absolutely love this company and I've really found my home. Here are some more pictures. First on the left is my avatar for the Dr. Jeff Effect. In the middle is my beautiful wife Jennifer and I at the grand opening of our practice, Regen Ocala, about 3 years ago. And then on the right is my before and after pictures for my own weight loss journey. The first picture was my before picture taken at Panama City Beach somewhere near the end of October of 2024. And then the right after picture, really not after because I'm not done yet, but was taken the last week of February 2025. So the difference is about 18 weeks and about 42 pounds of weight loss. We always have to put in disclosures. We will not be talking about the business side of LifeVantage tonight, so I will not read the disclosure for the business side, but we will be talking about some medical aspects of our activators. And it's always important to know that these statements and these products are not evaluated by the FDA. The products are not intended to cure, treat, prevent, or mitigate any diseases. So, what will we talk about? We will cover what is activation. I think it's important to understand what is activation and why activation is important and why it is different. I think it's an answer that we all need to understand in this business because we will have prospective customers and prospective consultants ask us that question. Well, how are you different? What is this activation thing that you talk about? So it's important to understand that. Second is Nrf1 and how it affects our mitochondria, how it affects energy in the body. And then lastly, what is the role of NAD? I particularly wanted to do this lecture because NAD happens to be one of my favorite molecules in the body. I asked Rachel if this is one that I could present, and she told me to go ahead and fly with it. And so I'm here tonight to talk about one of my favorite molecules, NAD, because it has so many important roles in the body. So let's get started in what is activation. So if we look at along the top of this slide, we see all the LifeVantage products. We start off with the vitamins and we see the tri-synergizers next with Protandim Nrf2 sitting right up front, and then our liquid collagen, which is a collagen activator, and our beauty care products with the True Renew products and Axio, and then on the end, we come up to our mind body products, the amazing launch back in October. So if somebody asks you, well, what is activation? You should have your canned answer. You should be able to talk about it without any reservation, and you should be able to have a conversation about what our company stands for. This is my favorite answer. So if somebody asks, well, what is activation? Activation is stimulating the body's natural health mechanisms at a cellular level. Unlike supplements, the products aim to enhance cellular production, support healthy aging, and improve overall wellness by activating specific genes and pathways. So that is what activation is. And I think it's also important to understand this next term, nutrigenomics. What is nutrigenomics? So nutrigenomics is a scientific study of the interaction of nutrition and genes, especially regarding the prevention or treatment of disease. So it's ways to take what were referred to as supplements in the past. It's ways to take a product, often these are plant-based, that will interact with our genes and allow us to build products within the body that can prevent disease. Now, you'll hear us talk about supplementation, and we use supplementation in our practice. One of my favorite ideas of supplementation is vitamin D. A lot of Americans, probably over 90% of the citizens in the United States, are deficient in vitamin D. And what do we do when that happens is we give a vitamin D supplement. So there is a difference, though, between supplementation and activation. So supplementation focuses on adding an external nutrient to the body. If we're deficient in vitamin D, we give the patient extra vitamin D. Often involves adding vitamins, minerals, other dietary supplements. It fills in the gap. If we're deficient in vitamin D, despite getting enough sunshine, despite having vitamin D in our diets, we can give additional vitamin D. It can provide immediate nutrient boosts, such as some of the vitamin IVs that we give in the office, but might not address the underlying cause. What is the cause of the problem? And a lot of times supplements, they just fill in the gap. They don't address the cause. Whereas activation is different. Activation focuses on stimulating the body's natural processes. It stimulates the body to make a product to fill in that gap. It aims to enhance the body's inherent ability to maintain health, involves activating specific genes and pathways, and it seeks to address the root cause and promote overall wellness. It's not just filling the gap like a supplement, it's actually addressing the cause of the problem. That's why there's such a significant difference. I find it interesting. There are other activation companies out there, and some of the activation companies are owned by some of the richest men in the world. Jeff Bezos owns an activation company. Bill Gates owns an activation company. So activation is an important topic right now. They're all looking for some of these nutrigenomics in order to change the path of illness. But we are one of the first to market. We have been in the market since 2025. So it is definitely the company to be with. So now I want to get into one of the bigger topics that I want to discuss, and that's Nrf1, protandem Nrf1, and mitochondria. It is a specific activator for our mitochondria. So if we're talking about mitochondria, we need to know what mitochondria is. So mitochondria is considered the powerhouse of the cell. It's what's called an organelle. It's the contents inside of the cell that helps the cell move. It's just like we have organs inside of our body. Our body's made up of, the lungs and the heart and the kidney and the liver and the stomach. Well, those are organs. Well, cells have their own organs, what we call organelles. It's the nucleus and the Golgi body and the vesicles and the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse. Mitochondria is unique among the organelles because it has its own DNA. And that DNA is programmed for cell death, something called apoptosis, and it's also programmed to make energy for the cell. It regulates pathways and is key to biosynthesis, to having the cells make certain items. And one of those certain items is something called ATP. And ATP is responsible for 90% of the energy inside the body. So this is what the cell looks like. So if on the left-hand side is kind of a cross-section of a cell, you can see the yellow is the nucleus with a little pink nucleolus in the middle. You see endoplasmic reticulum, you see mitochondria and Golgi apparatus. So you see all the organelles that make up the cell. The cutout on the right is what a single mitochondria looks like. So you can see the DNA, and you can see the inner and outer membranes and ribosomes, which are helping produce some of the energy within that cell. So that's what we're talking about. That's what the mitochondria is. So what is Nrf1? So Nrf1 is an activator. It activates the nuclear respiratory factor 1 pathway. And that plays a crucial role in regulating cellular metabolism and mitochondrial biogenesis. It has a role in making the energy inside of the cell that the body needs for metabolism. And it regulates the expression of genes from the nucleus, from the heart and cell center that is responsible for keeping that cell functioning. So it's very, very, very important. This Nrf1 pathway is very important in the vitality of the human body on a cellular level. So LifeVantage's Nrf1 synergizer helps produce more mitochondria. So we have more of these organelles to produce energy. It boosts mitochondrial function, so it allows the mitochondria to function better, and that overall leads to an increased energy production at a cellular level to make sure the body is running at peak performance. So you can see where this is very important. When we've talked before about, most of you know a little bit about Nrf2, where it's working on the antioxidant system. So now we can downregulate oxidative stress and we can upregulate energy production. So you can see where taking something like Tri-Synergizer every day, and we'll talk more about NAD in a minute, is very, very beneficial. One is not more important than the other, although Nrf2 is important because it was the start of our company. Here are the key ingredients with inside of Protandim Nrf1 Synergizer. So it has acetyl L-carnitine, which will boost the mitochondrial production. It makes more mitochondria. It has quercetin. Quercetin is actually an antioxidant, and it promotes mitochondrial function that leads to energy production. So it's, once again, reaching out to make more energy at a cellular level. Alpha lipoic acid, another antioxidant, turns glucose into energy at a cellular level. Grape extract, another antioxidant. It's what is in resveratrol. Resveratrol is the one that comes from red wine, which supports healthy aging and activating that Nrf1 protein. And then coenzyme Q10, or what's called CoQ10, which is an important role in the production of that final energy source, ATP. So when do I take Protandim Nrf1 Synergizer? Well, you can take it best first thing in the morning, 2 capsules a day, usually at the same time. I like doing it first thing in the morning. I take my Tri-Synergizer all at the same time when I wake up in the morning. So I take 2 of the Nrf2s, 2 Nrf1s, and 2 NADs. This is what the product looks like. It's part of that Tri-Synergizer team. So what about NAD? NAD, I'm very, very passionate about. NAD, I think, is one of the most important molecules within the body. And you'll see why here in a minute. NAD stands for nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide. It's essentially a coenzyme, which means it helps an enzyme cause a chemical reaction within the body. The two are needed together. So NAD is the critical enzyme or coenzyme in cellular metabolism. It allows the cells to work as a workhorse inside the body. It's responsible for the repair of DNA. So if there's damage to our DNA, NAD gets involved and causes the DNA to be repaired and then maintains the integrity of the DNA. Now remember, the DNA is where our genes come from. So if there's a problem or damage to DNA, what happens? Well, it leads to a disease state or a disease process. So it's very important to have things on board that will aid in DNA repair. And it's responsible, just like Nrf1, it's responsible for energy production. It helps convert nutrients to that ATP that's inside the mitochondria. ATP is the cell's energy currency. It's what allows the cells to function and to live on a daily basis. This is why NAD is so important. And that's why NAD supplementation and in this case, NAD activation is so important. I've used NAD supplements in my practice for over 15 years. I saw the benefit of adding NAD, but the problem with NAD as a supplement is NAD is very poorly absorbed by the body, by the gut. So if you take NAD, it's a very large molecule. And there's two. There's one called nicotinamide mononucleotide, and there's one called nicotinamide riboside. And they're both very large molecules, and they allow the body to manufacture DNA, but only about 20% gets absorbed. And that's the problem. So what does this mean inside the body? It means that we have increased energy production. We have better energy production. We have DNA repair. We have cellular signaling and stem cell mobilization. So when we have NAD and the body has an injury, NAD will signal the bone marrow to release stem cells, and those stem cells then get mobilized into the bloodstream, and they'll go to an area that needs healing. That's why I've used it in my practice, in my regenerative practice for a long time, because it helps the regenerative injections that we were doing work better and work faster. It's impossible. It's important in the regulation of our metabolic processes within the body, and it's very important in anti-aging. Right now, if you Google NAD in PubMed, you'll see it's one of the most discussed anti-aging supplements activators that we're seeing our research on in PubMed. So what are the key ingredients in NAD Synergizer? We talked about how in the past we're using these big molecules. Well, right now in the NAD Synergizer, we're using something called cuprous niacin. It's just niacin with a copper molecule. Niacin is just vitamin B3, but it is the precursor to NAD. It's what the body needs to make NAD inside of the cell. It has theacrine. Theacrine reduces inflammation and reduces oxidative stress. It has wasabi japonica. Wasabi japonica promotes NAD recycling. So it allows NAD that's being used up to be recycled and then made better again so it can be reused. And then it has olive leaf extract, which is a natural booster of NAD levels. So you can see that these building blocks then go to the cells and allow the cells to build new NAD molecules that the body can use for energy and longevity. Very important. So when do I take the Protandim NAD Synergizer? Once again, 2 capsules a day, usually the same time of day, and I like taking them just with the other 2 products. I take the 6 pills first thing in the morning, right after I take my Mind-Body GLP-1. This is the area that I am most excited about, and these are some bullet points about NAD and stem cells. So NAD will mobilize stem cells from the bone marrow. It preserves our stem cell population. It enhances stem cell replication, so it's making more stem cells. And it's vital for mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation, which is how we can get an energy source for our stem cells. So let's compare NAD with Nrf1. So NAD increases energy. Nrf1 increases the number of mitochondria where energy is produced. NAD causes DNA repair. NAD is important for cell signaling, stem cell mobilization, anti-aging, and longevity. Protandem Nrf1 increases the number of mitochondria, boosts mitochondrial function, increases energy production, so you can see the two work in synergy, and reduces oxidative stress and supports the cellular defense mechanisms. So you can see that it's important to have both. Could you take one without the other? You could. But I think that having both, they work synergistically. And if obviously the best of all worlds is taking the tri-synergizer, which gives us all three effects. I want to close with one of my other favorite quotes, Sir Francis Bacon in 1597, knowledge is power. So I'm glad that you're watching this lecture. You're getting some knowledge on Nrf1 and NAD. Please watch the other lectures in the collection. Keep learning on a daily basis. And as always, I'm always available if you need to reach out. Have a great day. Bye-bye.